The Castle of 1,000 Tales. In the heart of an ancient forest, nestled between mist-shrouded mountains and vast, whispering woodlands, stands the legendary Castle of 1,000 Tales. This castle is not just any dwelling, it is a sanctuary and a crossroads, a place where tales collide, diverge, and bloom anew. Rumored to be as ancient as storytelling itself, the Castle of 1,000 Tales is a home for the beloved characters of every classic fairy tale and fantasy story. It's a place where they finally get to live lives that aren't bound by the ink of their tales, free to create new memories, new friendships, and, of course, new adventures. The invitation. Snow White was the first to arrive, clutching an elegantly penned invitation she had found on her cottage doorstep that morning. To Snow White, most radiant and fair, it read in golden ink. The Castle of 1,000 Tales invites you to join in boundless adventures. Your destiny is not yet complete. As she stepped through the towering castle doors, she found herself in a grand hall, gleaming with chandeliers that seemed to drip with stars. Figures flitted about the room, each recognizable, yet somehow different. Here was Cinderella, sipping tea and laughing with the little mermaid, her glass slipper forgotten beside a pair of comfortable sandals. Over there, Aladdin was talking animatedly with Robin Hood about his latest escapades in the marketplace. "Welcome!" a cheerful voice called, and Snow White turned to see Pinocchio, a full-grown young man, no longer wooden, approaching her with a welcoming smile. "We've been waiting for you," he said, gesturing toward the castle's endless corridors. "New stories, new lives. Are you ready?" Snow White's curiosity burned. She nodded, and the adventures began. The voyage of the enchanted waters. Peter Pan and Alice were the first to suggest an outing. They had heard that beyond the castle's magical grounds lay the enchanted waters, a shimmering lake of liquid stardust that hid secrets beneath its depths. Alice, dressed in an explorer's outfit rather than her iconic blue dress, couldn't contain her excitement. "Let's take a boat and find out what's down there," she said, and soon, she, Peter, Snow White, and Jack from the Beanstalk were sailing across the silvery surface of the lake. As they approached the center of the lake, they saw something shining beneath the water, a crown that seemed to be calling to them. Jack, ever the brave one, dived in, only to find himself caught by a sudden current, pulling him deeper. He resurfaced moments later, coughing and laughing, with the crown in hand. "This isn't just any crown," Jack marveled, holding it up to the light. "It's the crown of the Forgotten Realm." Suddenly, they felt the lake stir as the water began to bubble, and a dragon's head emerged from the depths, a beast made of mist and light. "You who bear the crown of the Forgotten Realm," the dragon's voice echoed, "have awakened the secrets of the lake. What is it you seek?" Each of them took turns sharing their deepest wishes. Snow White wished to experience the thrill of exploring the world beyond her forest. Peter yearned for a new adventure, Alice, for a glimpse of Wonderland once more, and Jack, to find new challenges worthy of his daring spirit. The dragon nodded and promised to help them in their quests, leaving them with a shard of the enchanted lake's essence that would guide them on their journeys. The mirror maze of new fates. The next day, Cinderella discovered a door she hadn't noticed before. Behind it lay the mirror maze of new fates, a place whispered about in castle legends. She called for Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, and Rumpelstiltskin to join her on this new adventure. The mirrors shifted and shimmered as they entered the maze, showing each of them a glimpse of a different fate. Cinderella's mirror showed her dancing in a ballroom filled with stars, her partner a figure cloaked in moonlight. "This could be me," she whispered, realizing she could be more than just a princess from a pumpkin carriage. Sleeping Beauty's mirror revealed her wielding a sword, leading an army of enchanted creatures into a victorious battle, her eyes blazing with courage. She smiled and felt an unexpected strength rise within her. She was a warrior, too. Rumpelstiltskin's mirror was different. It showed him sitting by a fireplace, laughter in his eyes as he spun tales to children gathered around. No longer a villain but a storyteller. Seeing this, he was overcome with emotion, as he realized he could reshape his life. As each of them touched their respective mirrors, they felt a shift, a sense of liberation, as if their destinies were no longer fixed, but rather something they could shape and mold. The Council of the Unlikely Alliance. In another wing of the castle, Red Riding Hood, now a seasoned archer, formed a peculiar council with the big bad wolf, who had renounced his wild ways in exchange for a peaceful life. Together with Beauty, who had turned into a talented healer, and the huntsman, who now focused his skill on protecting the magical realms, they became known as the Council of the Unlikely Alliance. Their first mission came when the castle grounds were disturbed by a terrible curse spreading from the dark wood. Trees withered, and animals lost their voices. They ventured into the heart of the wood, where they found the evil queen from Snow White's tale, her powers darkened and volatile. She was attempting to steal the magic of the castle itself. "You need not do this," Beauty said, stepping forward. "There is magic enough for all here." The evil queen sneered, but Red Riding Hood calmly placed a hand on her bow. "We understand what it's like to want something more than anything in the world. But this place can help, if you let it." After a tense moment, the evil queen sighed, dropping her cursed amulet to the ground. Beauty knelt to pick it up, and with a soft incantation, purified it, lifting the curse from the forest. Together, they walked back toward the castle, the evil queen finally at peace with her powers and finding, perhaps for the first time, true friendship. Epilogue: The Endless Stories. In the days and months that followed, the Castle of 1,000 Tales became a place where new friendships bloomed and old rivalries softened. Robin Hood formed a band with Peter Pan, and together they stole enchanted trinkets to return them to their rightful owners. The Beast found himself mentoring young heroes and teaching them how to harness their inner strengths. Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty trained together as warriors and protectors of the castle's magic. The castle was ever-changing, filled with enchanted rooms that appeared when someone needed them. The Library of Unwritten Tales was a favorite, filled with empty pages, waiting for each character to write their new stories. Here, the fairy tale characters were free to be more than they had been written to be. They became artists, inventors, explorers, and friends who lifted each other up. And as the days stretched on, they knew that their story was just beginning. For in the Castle of 1,000 Tales, the magic of imagination and the endless possibility of new adventures reigned supreme. And so, they lived, happily, or thrillingly, courageously, and ever curiously ever after. In the Castle of 1,000 Tales, even the villains had their place, dwelling in the East Wing, which was dimly lit and filled with twisted shadows that seemed to reflect the darkness in their hearts. But a strange thing happened in this magical castle. Here, they were given a rare and wonderful gift, the chance to change, to leave behind the villainous paths that had once defined them. Being a villain, they realized, had its drawbacks. They were often alone, feared, and distrusted. What they really craved, perhaps, was friendship, acceptance, and a purpose beyond causing chaos. And so, one by one, they set aside their old ways, in search of redemption and a new life as heroes. The wicked stepmother's new calling as a caregiver. The wicked stepmother from Cinderella's tale was the first to embrace the opportunity. She was known for her vanity and cruelty, particularly in her treatment of Cinderella. But in the castle, she found herself drawn to the lonely tower where abandoned things went, a forgotten doll, a broken music box, or an old book missing its cover. She had always known what it was to feel forgotten and overlooked. Gradually, she began to restore these items, giving them new life, each one a little kinder than the last. She soon found herself taking care of small creatures around the castle, a rescued sparrow, an injured fox cub. To her surprise, she became known as the castle's unofficial caregiver, and even Cinderella, who had forgiven her long ago, would sometimes come to visit, bringing new animals in need of love. For the first time, the stepmother felt needed in a way that softened her heart. She became known as the nurturer, and her touch was gentle and kind. The evil queen's transformation into a protector of magic. The evil queen, from Snow White's story, had a change of heart that was both surprising and profound. For years, she had been obsessed with beauty, driven to the brink by envy and vanity. But in the Castle of 1,000 Tales, she saw that beauty was just one of many kinds of magic. There was power in wisdom, kindness, and strength, too. Determined to change, she took it upon herself to protect the castle's magical artifacts. She would wander the enchanted halls at night, cataloguing each magical item she came across. She began teaching others about these relics, guiding the young and curious in learning to use them for good. One day, Snow White herself visited her, and together, they pored over ancient texts about spells that could heal and protect. The evil queen felt her heart swell with pride and satisfaction. She had become something other than her title. She was a guardian of magic, and her beauty, now touched by wisdom, shone brighter than ever. The Big Bad Wolf's redemption as the castle's guardian. The Big Bad Wolf had spent his life terrorizing creatures in the forest, using his strength and cunning to satisfy his hunger and spread fear. But in the castle, he found that fear did not earn him respect, nor did it fill the void inside him. Instead, he found companionship in the most unlikely place, with Little Red Riding Hood. After their unlikely partnership with the Council of the Unlikely Alliance, Red saw a different side of him. With her guidance, he began to use his strength for good. He became the castle's guardian, patrolling its grounds and ensuring that everyone within was safe. The other characters, though initially cautious, grew to trust him. He protected them from dark forces that lurked beyond the enchanted woods. And one day, a terrified little piglet, separated from its family, approached him. Instead of snapping at it, the Big Bad Wolf gave it a warm smile and returned it to the castle, gently herding it along. The piglet and its siblings followed him around after that, never fearing him again. The Big Bad Wolf, once feared, was now a hero, a gentle giant who kept the castle's inhabitants safe. Captain Hook's reinvention as the mentor of lost children. Captain Hook, the infamous pirate of Neverland, had always lived for the thrill of the chase, particularly his pursuit of Peter Pan. But here, he saw things differently. In Neverland, he had spent his days in envy and bitterness, fixated on the boy who refused to grow up. Now, with time and perspective, he saw the loneliness of his life and longed to be something more than a captain without a cause. In the castle, he began to take on a new role. There were many children who came to the castle from broken tales, characters who had lost their way or been left out of their own stories. Hook found himself telling them tales of his adventures, listening to their dreams and fears, and teaching them the skills he had learned on his journeys. He became a mentor to these children, who began to call him captain, not with fear, but with admiration. He even taught Peter Pan a thing or two about fencing, the two of them often sparring in friendly competitions. Hook found a sense of purpose in his life that went beyond revenge, and he realized he didn't need Neverland. He was a mentor, a teacher, and for the first time, he had people who truly looked up to him. Ursula's new role as the Keeper of Secrets. Ursula, the sea witch from Ariel's story, had long relished in making deals, often to the detriment of others. But in the castle, she found that her skill in listening and understanding people's desires could be used in a different way. The inhabitants of the castle often had secrets, troubles, hopes, and fears they couldn't share with anyone else. They began to confide in Ursula, who listened with surprising compassion. She turned her cave-like chamber into a sanctuary where anyone could come to share their deepest thoughts. With each story told, Ursula grew wiser, and soon, she became known as the Keeper of Secrets. She used her knowledge not to manipulate, but to help others understand themselves. Even Ariel visited her, and together, they discussed the nature of wishes, dreams, and the cost of choices. Ursula's tentacles, once feared, became a comforting embrace to those who needed it most. The witch's transformation into a healer. The witch from Hansel and Gretel had always used her magic for dark purposes, alluring lost souls into her candy cottage to satisfy her cravings. But here, surrounded by heroes and villains alike, she began to see a different way to use her magic. She met Beauty, now a healer, and was moved by the kindness and generosity she saw in her. With Beauty's guidance, the witch learned to use her skills in potion making to heal, creating elixirs and remedies for the castle's inhabitants. One day, Hansel and Gretel visited her, now grown and forgiving, and together, they concocted potions that could mend broken hearts, soothe nightmares, and heal wounds. The witch found joy in seeing others benefit from her magic, and she became known as the Enchantress of Healing, loved and respected for her wisdom and care. Epilogue, a new chapter for the castle's villains. As the days turned to years, the castle became a sanctuary not only for heroes but for those who had once been villains. They were given the rarest of all gifts, a chance to rewrite their lives, to explore paths they had never considered. With each act of kindness, each new friendship, and each lesson learned, they found redemption, joy, and purpose. In the Castle of 1,000 Tales, they were not bound by the roles they had once played. They had become heroes in their own ways, protectors and guides, mentors and friends. And in the castle's vast library of unwritten tales, their stories filled volumes, each chapter brighter and kinder than the last. Here, they found not only a new life but also the true magic of possibility, and they lived, at long last, happily ever after. In the Castle of 1,000 Tales, stories had become a form of living magic. As word spread across enchanted realms, more and more new heroes were drawn to the castle, hoping to experience the iconic adventures of classic fairy tales for themselves. Soon, the castle's great hall became a grand stage for retellings of these beloved tales. But these new heroes weren't content to merely follow the script. They brought their own unique personalities, quirks, and bravery, changing each story in ways no one expected. These reimaginings became productions, drawing crowds from every corner of the magical world. From fée to genies, forest spirits to sky-dwelling giants, everyone gathered to witness these iconic moments reborn, brimming with fresh life and heroic improvisation. The Tale of Sleeping Beauty, the Brave Herbalist. One of the first new heroes was a young herbalist named Flora, who had journeyed to the castle from a village deep in the Whispering Woods. Flora was known for her gentle heart and a keen knowledge of healing plants. When she chose to step into the role of Prince Philip in the story of Sleeping Beauty, the crowd buzzed with excitement, curious to see how this healer would handle the tale of the enchanted sleep and fiery dragon. As Flora made her way through the thorny forest that surrounded the sleeping kingdom, she paused often, gathering plants and flowers along the way. When she finally reached the slumbering Maleficent, who had taken the form of a dragon, Flora didn't raise her sword. Instead, she approached the creature with respect, offering a vial of calming elixir she had concocted from the herbs she'd gathered. The dragon paused, intrigued by her bravery. "I've come not to fight," Flora said softly, "but to offer a different path. You were hurt once and let that pain fester. Let me help heal it." The dragon roared, but as Flora's elixir touched its fiery scales, the beast softened, shrinking back into the figure of Maleficent, who looked at Flora with wonder. Flora's gentle words of forgiveness and her ability to see beyond the curse shifted the story. Rather than a battle, it became an act of healing. Maleficent agreed to lift the curse on the kingdom, and Flora's bravery was celebrated as the crowd cheered for this fresh take on the tale. Cinderella, the inventive weaver. In another retelling, the iconic role of Cinderella was taken on by Etta, a skilled weaver and inventor who had traveled to the castle from a land renowned for its creativity. She was fascinated by the idea of the glass slipper and the ballroom, but her imagination quickly took over, and she made the story her own. Instead of the fairy godmother conjuring a ball gown and carriage for Etta, she pulled out tools from her satchel and began weaving magic into fabrics and metals herself. She created her own shimmering dress, lacing it with silken threads and tiny glowing crystals that pulsed with energy. As for the carriage, she rigged up a mechanical contraption from spare gears, vines, and a little enchanted moss, making a self-powered ride that moved with the elegance of a royal carriage. When Etta entered the ballroom, her radiant dress and self-made carriage turned heads, and her confidence inspired all in attendance. Instead of waiting for the prince to approach her, she introduced herself boldly, regaling the crowd with tales of her travels, inventions, and ideas for bettering her kingdom. The prince, enchanted by her spirit, invited her to speak to his court, wanting to learn more about her designs and ideas. When the clock struck midnight, Etta left behind not just a glass slipper, but a new legacy, the story of a heroine who relied not on magic alone but on her own talents, intelligence, and ingenuity. Jack and the Beanstalk, the strategist. Another beloved story was that of Jack and the Beanstalk, and into this tale stepped a young strategist named Roland. Unlike the Jack of the original story, who climbed the beanstalk without a plan, Roland was meticulous. He was known for his careful mind and ability to see patterns where others saw chaos. As he ascended the towering stalk, Roland took note of the giant's patterns, observing his habits from a safe distance. Instead of simply stealing from the giant's riches, Roland decided to negotiate. He approached the giant with a proposition: they would share the wealth in exchange for Roland's help in keeping the treasures safe from those who sought to exploit the giant's riches. The giant, surprised by Roland's clever approach, agreed to a partnership. Roland devised a secure system to guard the castle's treasures, which helped to protect the kingdom's resources and brought peace to both the giant's realm and his own. By the end of his tale, Roland was celebrated not only for his bravery but for his strategic mind, which turned a tale of theft into one of cooperation and mutual respect. The Little Mermaid, the Sea Artist. One of the most anticipated performances was the story of the Little Mermaid. This time, the tale was taken up by Pearl, a young sea artist from a coastal village renowned for her intricate sand sculptures and talent for capturing the beauty of the ocean. When Pearl found herself in the role of Ariel, she was given a choice: to trade her voice for legs, as the classic story demanded. But Pearl decided on a different course. Rather than sacrificing her voice, she used her gift as an artist to communicate. She shaped magnificent sculptures from sea glass and coral, crafting an entire underwater gallery to tell the prince her story through images rather than words. The prince, deeply moved by her art, found himself captivated by her spirit and creativity. He visited the gallery every day, learning more about Pearl's world and her dreams. In time, they built a friendship based on shared admiration, and Pearl was able to stay close to her home in the ocean, visiting him whenever she wished, without losing her voice or identity. She showed the crowd that love and connection could thrive without sacrificing one's own talents or heritage. Beauty and the Beast, the Scholar of Enchantment. In a new take on Beauty and the Beast, the role of Belle was claimed by Caden, a scholar who had spent his life studying enchanted objects and magical curses. When he arrived at the Beast's castle, he didn't shy away or become frightened. Instead, he was fascinated, not only by the curse but also by the Beast himself and the magical artifacts within the castle. Caden used his vast knowledge to research the origins of the Beast's curse, discovering ancient texts hidden in the library that Belle had once loved. Together, he and the Beast unraveled the secrets of the curse's origins, finding that it had been placed due to an ancient family feud, fueled by generations of anger and misunderstanding. Rather than waiting for true love's kiss to break the curse, Caden and the Beast worked together to trace the spell's source and unravel it piece by piece, using compassion and forgiveness to mend the rift between their families. By the end of the tale, the curse lifted, not through a kiss, but through friendship, shared knowledge, and empathy. The crowd was moved by Caden's intelligence and compassion, and he and the Beast emerged as friends, both transformed by their journey. Snow White and the Seven, the Herbal Healer. In the retelling of Snow White's tale, a gentle soul named Willow stepped into the role of Snow White. Willow was a healer and herbalist, known for her understanding of plants and her deep connection with nature. When she stumbled upon the seven dwarfs' cottage, rather than relying on them to care for her, she offered her healing skills in return. As the evil queen plotted to harm her with the poisoned apple, Willow was prepared. She recognized the apple's curse, using her own knowledge of healing herbs to counteract it. She brewed an antidote and shared it with the dwarfs, teaching them how to protect themselves from the effects of dark magic. When the queen herself arrived, Willow used her gentle heart to reach out to her, offering a balm for the jealousy and bitterness that had consumed her. In this version, the story ended with forgiveness. The queen, moved by Willow's kindness, renounced her envy and fled into the forest to start anew. Snow White, in this retelling, had become a healer of hearts, turning fear and anger into compassion and friendship. Epilogue, a tapestry of new tales. As the seasons passed, the Great Hall continued to buzz with excitement and laughter. The new heroes had infused the classic tales with unique twists, teaching the castle's residents, and their audiences, about courage, friendship, and the power of individuality. Their stories wove together like a grand tapestry, rich with colors, dreams, and lessons that hadn't been there before. The Castle of 1,000 Tales became a place where stories were born anew, where anyone could step into the role of hero and create magic that was truly their own. And so, as the enchanted castle stood tall under starlit skies, it held within its walls not only the past but the limitless potential of stories yet to come, as the new heroes blazed their paths of wonder, bravery, and love. One clear, golden afternoon in the Castle of 1,000 Tales, an unexpected arrival sent whispers of excitement through the halls. From the world of myth and legend, gods and heroes from ancient Greece and Egypt had come to join the castle's storied residents. Hercules strode across the drawbridge with a smile that promised mischief. Odysseus was already examining the castle's maps with an eye for strategy, and the Egyptian goddess Isis moved with serene grace, marveling at the unique enchantments. Though these mythic figures hailed from a time and place far different from the fairy tale realms, they soon discovered they shared something in common with the castle's residents: a love for adventure and a longing for camaraderie. They'd grown up with tales of Cinderella, Snow White, and Jack and the Beanstalk, and now they were finally able to meet these characters in person, each moment a chance to exchange stories, knowledge, and laughter. A meeting of legends. The castle's great hall buzzed with activity as the mythic figures mingled with the fairy tale residents. Odysseus, who was still drawn to journeys even after his long voyage, found himself deep in conversation with the adventurous Red Riding Hood, each sharing tales of the perils they had faced. Red was captivated by Odysseus's cunning tactics and daring escapes, while he was charmed by her fearless spirit. Nearby, Hercules and the big bad wolf sized each other up with respect, both of them known for their strength. The big bad wolf, no longer a villain, had come to appreciate a good challenge, and he and Hercules quickly struck up a competitive friendship. Isis, who possessed profound knowledge of magic, struck up a friendship with Beauty and Flora, who had each mastered healing and magical arts in their own right. Together, the three women spent hours discussing ancient spells, herbs, and the nature of magic. The castle soon buzzed with new enchantments as they shared their knowledge, creating new magical gardens, fountains, and protective spells that brightened the castle grounds. A tournament of strength and strategy. Eager to celebrate their new friendships, the castle's inhabitants decided to host a grand tournament, a mix of games and challenges to celebrate the spirit of each hero. It was an opportunity for Hercules and Odysseus to showcase their skills and for the fairy tale residents to show their mythical friends the strength they had acquired over their own adventures. Won the race of the hero's path. The first event was a foot race, but it wasn't an ordinary sprint, it was the hero's path, a magical course that tested speed, agility, and ingenuity. Paths lined with enchanted obstacles wound through enchanted forests and fields dotted with illusionary trickery. Snow White, known for her endurance from long treks through the forest, joined the race alongside the sprightly Hermes, the Greek god of speed. Jack, of the Beanstalk, and Odysseus were also eager competitors, each ready to rely on wit and creativity. As the race began, Hermes darted ahead like a flash of light, but Snow White surprised him by cleverly navigating through thickets of thorny vines with practiced ease. Meanwhile, Odysseus used his keen sense of observation, deciphering illusions meant to lead him astray. Jack, ever the climber, scaled walls and vaulted over obstacles with ease. In the end, Snow White reached the finish line first, thanks to her knowledge of the forest's paths. The crowd erupted into cheers, and even Hermes was impressed. "You've truly mastered the art of the forest, Snow White," he said with a grin, extending a hand in respect. To the Feast of Feats, a test of strength. For the second event, Hercules and the Big Bad Wolf organized the Feast of Feats, a series of challenges that measured both strength and endurance. Tables filled with massive stone weights, magical ropes, and boulders lined the castle courtyard, and anyone who thought they could keep up with Hercules was invited to compete. Hercules started with a classic feat, lifting a massive boulder over his head. The Big Bad Wolf, determined to give him a run for his money, followed suit, his muscles rippling as he hoisted the weight. Not to be outdone, even Prince Charming stepped up, lifting with surprising strength honed from his years of rescuing. Seeing his peers rise to the challenge, the formerly meek Cinderella's mouse friend, Jack, decided to have a go, only to be helped along with an enchanted strength-boosting berry, lifting a weight that sent everyone into delighted laughter. The final round saw Hercules and the wolf in a friendly standoff, both pushing to their limits in a tug-of-war challenge. The rope strained, as did the contestants, until the ground between them broke, causing them to tumble forward, each bursting into laughter. They shook hands with admiration, glad to have finally met their match. 3. The Labyrinth of Law, a test of wit. Next came the Labyrinth of Law, a challenge designed to test wit, wisdom, and cunning. The castle's garden was transformed into a sprawling maze, filled with enchanted puzzles and riddles. In each corner, hints and clues waited to be unlocked, leading to a hidden treasure in the center. The competitors included Odysseus, Red Riding Hood, the Evil Queen, and the goddess Isis, each ready to show their intellect. Odysseus, ever the tactician, examined each riddle carefully, using his famous cunning to navigate through false leads. Red, quick on her feet and sharp-minded, solved riddles that required keen observation, spotting clues hidden in the smallest details of leaves and branches. Isis, her knowledge of ancient secrets unmatched, used her insight to unravel the maze's deeper mysteries. But it was the Evil Queen who surprised everyone. With her knowledge of magic and her quick thinking, she reached the treasure first, solving a riddle that had stumped even Isis. The Evil Queen, grinning with newfound confidence, held up her prize, a golden feather said to bring clarity of mind, and bowed as the crowd cheered for her. 4. The Song of Legends, a storytelling duel. For the final event, the heroes gathered in the Great Hall for the Song of Legends, a storytelling duel celebrating tales of bravery, love, and wisdom. Each contestant took turns recounting their greatest stories, blending drama, humor, and heart to captivate the audience. Beauty started the contest with her tale of taming the beast, describing their journey from enmity to love with warmth and wisdom. Odysseus followed, recounting his encounter with the Cyclops, adding humor by mimicking the Cyclops' clumsy rage. The hall echoed with laughter, and even the stoic god of wisdom, Thoth, chuckled from his seat. Cinderella spun a story of courage as she told of her struggle with her stepmother and the kindness she found in the most unlikely of places. But then, Isis took the stage. Her tale was one of love and sacrifice, recounting her journey to bring her husband Osiris back from the dead. The audience was entranced as she spoke, her voice filled with reverence and devotion. When she finished, the hall was silent, moved by the power of her words. The final speaker was Hercules, who shared a humorous recounting of his 12 labors, giving each one a comedic twist as he imitated his own struggles and mishaps. His self-deprecating humor won the crowd, and the audience's laughter turned into cheers as he finished with a bow. The birth of new friendships and legends. As the day of competitions ended, the heroes gathered for a grand feast under the stars, celebrating the bonds they had formed. The Castle of 1,000 Tales had brought them together not as rivals, but as friends and companions. Around the banquet tables, new friendships blossomed. Hercules and the big bad wolf toasted to each other, marveling at how they'd each found a worthy competitor. Snow White and Hermes shared tales of enchanted forests, planning future races through the clouds and treetops. Isis, Beauty, and Flora talked late into the night, their shared knowledge of healing and magic deepening their connection. Meanwhile, Odysseus and Red Riding Hood exchanged tactics and ideas, planning their next adventure with a mischievous spark in their eyes. And as the night wore on, Isis and the Evil Queen, once steeped in power and isolation, found solace in each other's company, recognizing in one another the complexity and strength that came with their past struggles. Epilogue, a new era of tales. The arrival of the heroes and gods from ancient myth marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Castle of 1,000 Tales. Now, the castle held not only fairy tales but the myths of Greece and Egypt, woven together in a tapestry that shimmered with new friendships, alliances, and legends. Every corner of the castle rang with laughter, and each hall held whispers of stories yet to come, as heroes from realms of fantasy and myth grew stronger together. The castle would be forever changed, for the meeting of these worlds brought with it a profound truth, that while the tales may differ, the spirit of heroism, courage, and friendship remained the same. And so, as stars filled the sky over the Castle of 1,000 Tales, new legends were born, blending the strength of myth with the magic of dreams, lighting the way for adventures that would live on forever.